3 months ago, I was starting at nearly $12,000 in debt, wondering if I'd ever get ahead. Today, I'm about to show you the exact numbers, the good, the bad, and the surprisingly honest truth about what's actually working in my debt payoff journey. And this isn't your typical, I made $10,000 this month income report. I'm breaking down every dollar I earned, every side hustle I tried, and yes, even the ones that completely flopped. Because here's what I've learned. The path to financial freedom isn't about perfection, it's about progress. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which income streams are worth your time, which money hacks actually moved the needle, and the one mindset shift that changed everything for me this month. Plus, I'm sharing my biggest I wish I knew this sooner moment that could save you months of trial and error. So, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's dive into the real numbers behind building wealth from debt. Alright, let's start with the numbers because I know that's what you're here for, and I promised complete transparency. My starting debt in June was $11,934 on one credit card. This month, I'm sitting at $11,700 even. So that's $234 paid off, which honestly feels both like progress and like I'm moving through molasses at the same time. But here's where it gets interesting. Let me break down exactly where my side hustle income came from this month. So for options trading, I made $37.77. In my dividends and interest, I made $76.21. For my giant yard game rentals, I made $40. And for D-Scout and other survey sites, I made $20. And for other side hustles, this month it was $0. And that's because I spent more time figuring out my faceless YouTube workflow than testing other side hustles. And now that I've figured it out, I want to help save you from the same time sink. I have a how-to guide coming out on my complete workflow from idea to video later this month, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And that total side hustle income for June comes to $173.98. Now here's what I'm proud of most this month. The money I saved through what I call boring but brilliant hacks. First, I contacted my credit card company and got my APR lowered from around 20% down to 9.99%. This one message is literally saving me hundreds in interest. And I honestly cannot believe I waited so long to do this. Second, I tackled my internet bill. I was paying $85 a month for internet. I barely used it full capacity. One conversation later, and I am now down to a $30 per month plan. So that's $55 back in my pocket every single month. And third, I finally started locking in and really using my meal planner consistently. I know, meal planning isn't sexy, but it's saving me about $40 per week on groceries for two, and even more on takeout by eliminating food waste and impulse purchases. My current net worth calculation still has me slightly in the negative, but it's very, very close to neutral right now. And according to my debt payoff tracker that I built, which I'm going to show you more of in a minute, my projected timeline to being completely debt-free is about 15 months if I maintain this pace. Next, let's talk side hustles because this is where I've learned some hard truths about what actually works versus what just sounds good on paper. So here's what's actually working. Passively, dividends and interest payments have been growing steadily. Part of this is because I've switched from my old traditional bank that offers 0.01% interest to a high-yield savings account that now offers 3.8% interest. I'm making more money for literally doing nothing. I'm also snowballing with several shares that are not only moving up, but also giving great dividends along the way. Of course, this will only grow faster as my debt payments go away and all that money can go into investments. Options trading generated $37.77 this month, though I want to be clear, this is not gambling, this is educated trades with strict risk management. But it does require significant time to learn properly. And that's what I want to work on this upcoming month, getting a deeper understanding of the wheel strategy, which is a fairly safe strategy that gives consistent monthly returns. This can also create a sort of snowball effect and grow my investments even faster. Aside from that, D-Scout has been a great background earner. I've made $123 with probably 4 hours of total time investment. The key here is that these are high-paying research studies and not $2 surveys that take 30 minutes to fill out. So far, it's all been express missions that just take a few minutes. I've done everything from share a photo of my espresso maker for $10 to test an AI search function for a website for $25 to answer a hobby survey for $15 and so much more. It often does require a video response, but considering that it only takes 10 to 15 minutes, that is fine by me. It totally beats working an hour of retail for that same $15. Although this next month, I am going to try to apply for more long-form studies that pay usually in the $50 to $200 range. On the more active income side, my giant yard game rentals are bringing in $100 or more per month usually, and I figured out how to make this almost completely passive. I'll rent them out for entire weekends and barely have to think about it. The only thing I need to do is to find a way to do deliveries and messages around my work schedule, which tends to be more afternoons and evenings, along with marketing more. This month, I think I'll debut my vibe-coded website, get on Google My Business, and find a way to advertise in more Facebook groups. So here's what's not working. Those traditional survey sites. I was spending hours on platforms that paid pennies when I could be doing one D-Scout study for the same time investment but 10 times the payout. Time is money, and I finally started acting like it this month. So here's what I'm pivoting to. I'm getting more serious about YouTube now that I have a solid workflow down. The income isn't there yet, but the potential for long-term passive income is huge. Plus, it's connecting me with people like you who are on similar journeys. I'm also exploring freelance music editing for wedding couples. I have the skills, there's definitely demand, and it pays well. This feels like a natural extension of my existing abilities. Of course, though, I will test demand before I waste time on creating a site, business cards, or a brand board. I know that sounds obvious, but this is a huge pitfall of mine. And honestly, I'm considering picking up shifts as a server or a bartender on my off days. I know it's not passive income, but the hourly rate when you include tips can be fantastic, and it's guaranteed money while I build out these other streams. But between dealing with insane customers and wading through job applications in this terrible market, this is most definitely not first up on my list. So here's my biggest lesson this month. Focus beats scattered attention every single time. I was trying to do everything. Every survey site, every app, every opportunity that crossed my path. But when I narrowed down to the 3 things that were actually working and doubled down on those, my income actually increased while my stress decreased. And here's something that might sound weird, but I've been using Claude, which is an AI, to help me identify subconscious beliefs and fears that I have around increasing my income. Working on mindset and removing mental resistance has made all the action taking feel much more natural and less forced. Let's talk about the real-world application of money-saving strategies, because theory is useless without execution. So my biggest win was that credit card APR reduction I mentioned earlier. I was terrified to ask because I thought they'd say no or somehow make my situation worse. It took less than 10 minutes and I didn't even have to call. I just used the live messaging feature on their website. 10 minutes to save hundreds of dollars. The lesson? Your fear is costing you money. So here's my biggest fail. Life happened in June. I got engaged, which was amazing, but definitely not budgeted for. Plus, it was birthday season in my family, and if you're a woman, you know that family celebrations somehow always fall on your shoulders to coordinate and get gifts for. These unexpected expenses definitely derailed my progress, but here's what I'm learning. Building buffer room for life happens moments isn't pessimistic, it's realistic. And while paying off my debt is important, life is happening too, and it's worth celebrating with thoughtful gifts, flowers, and dinners for the people you love. Here's a game changer tool that I started using this month. I used Replit AI to create a custom income and expense tracker that automatically calculates my debt payoff date based on my current progress. Seeing that date, even when the debt balance still feels overwhelming, makes this journey feel achievable instead of impossible. This visual representation of progress has been more motivating than any motivational quote or TikTok post ever was. Sometimes you need to see the math to believe the dream is possible. Even seeing that an extra $10 survey or $40 rental can knock weeks or even months off of my debt-free date has lit a new kind of fire under me. So let's get real about the non-financial changes, because paying off debt isn't just about money. It's about completely rewiring how you think and live. I've been working with Claude AI almost like therapy sessions to remove money mindset blocks. I know that sounds unconventional, but identifying and challenging beliefs like I'm not good with money or I only deserve so much money has been incredibly powerful. I've identified a lot of fear and shame around money that I wasn't immediately aware of, and now that I can see those subtle thought patterns at work, I'm doing a lot of work to unwind them. Money isn't the enemy anymore. It's a tool, and I'm finally learning how to use and earn it properly. And when it comes to energy and motivation, here's the honest truth. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had been feeling burnt out. When you're juggling multiple side hustles that each require significant time and energy investment, it's exhausting. Some days I would question if this is sustainable, especially with my main job hitting the busy season in June. I love it, but it can be pretty demanding in terms of time investment while still being relatively low pay, all things considered. The job application process has been particularly demoralizing. I have experience, I have a degree, but I'm getting zero responses in this terrible job market. I've wasted countless hours on applications that disappeared to the void. I really wish I would have spent more of that time on my rentals or on my channel. But here's what keeps me going. The thought of starting my marriage with zero debt, and the idea that I'll be able to take care of my aging parents without financial stress. These aren't just nice thoughts, they're my why when everything else feels hard. I'm honestly considering stopping job applications altogether and focusing entirely on building up my side hustles, especially the passive ones. If job applications aren't generating any return on my time investment, why am I still doing them? Even those painfully low-paying surveys give me a few cents for wasting an hour of my time, and I don't have to fill in my resume twice while I'm at it. If you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed by debt or unsure where to start, here are the actionable takeaways that could save you months of trial and error. My biggest I wish I knew this sooner moment is that focus is everything. It's better to put your energy into one or two things that are actually working than to diffuse your attention across a million different opportunities. Scattered effort gets scattered results. The one thing that moved the needle the most this month was creating an AI debt payoff tracker. Having an easy, motivating visual that shows my exact payoff date based on current progress made this feel real instead of impossible. Sometimes you need to see the math to believe the dream. A common mistake I see women making is shiny object syndrome in side hustles. Trying every new opportunity that comes along, then giving up before seeing results. So here's my rule now. Choose one thing and commit to it for at least 90 days before you even consider adding something else. Also, focusing on what you can't control instead of what you can. I can't control how many likes my videos get, but I can control how consistently I create content. I can't control whether employers respond to my applications, but I can control how I build my own income streams instead. So here's what I would do differently if I were starting over. I would choose one side hustle based on 4 criteria: importance to my goals, potential returns, ease of execution, and safety. Then I'd block out everything else and just focus on that until it was working consistently. Again, at least 90 days. The paradox is that by doing less, you often achieve more. Looking ahead, here's what I'm focusing on and what you can expect from this channel. Based on my real progress, not some fantasy scenario, my debt payoff timeline is looking like about 15 months if I maintain this current pace. Could I do it faster? Maybe. But I'd rather set realistic expectations and exceed them than set impossible goals and feel like a failure. As far as this month's focus, summer is still in full swing here in sunny Florida, so I'll put a bit more push on my rentals and see where that takes me. If I get much more demand after I create my full website and list on Google My Business, then I may be able to pivot towards larger things, like tables, chairs, tents, or even something fun like margarita mixers. If not, I can pivot into other things. I also want to go back and study options trading a bit more too, so that I can grow my account faster. I've been able to double my small account over the past year or so with a very, very conservative strategy, so I think that with a bit more education, I can get slightly bolder and more profitable too. YouTube is also getting more of my energy now that I have a solid production workflow. This opens up long-term profit potential, business connections, and opportunities I can't even imagine yet. As far as my upcoming video topics, since I'm getting married soon, I'm planning a video on how to have a cute wedding on a budget with real strategies and not just skip the flowers advice. And for those of you interested in the behind the scenes, I'll be sharing my YouTube workflow and how I create content efficiently for my faceless channel. And if you want to see how to make an AI avatar or streamline your content creation, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. So there you have it, the unfiltered truth about June's progress on my debt payoff journey. From $11,934 to $11,700 with $173.98 in side hustle income and a complete shift in how I think about money. Here's the thing that surprised me the most. It's not about finding the perfect side hustle or the secret money hack. It's about consistency, tracking your progress, and being willing to pivot when something is not working. If you're on your own debt payoff journey or thinking about starting one, I want you to know that you're not alone in this. Every dollar you save, every side hustle you try, every small win, it all adds up to something bigger than you realize. Here's what I need from you. If this video helped you see that financial progress is possible, even when it feels overwhelming, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with other people who need to hear that they can do this too. And if you're ready to follow along on this journey from debt to wealth, the real, messy, honest version, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I'm sharing every win, every setback, and every lesson learned along the way. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one money goal that you're working toward right now? I read every single comment, and honestly, your wins motivate me to keep going when things get tough. And don't forget to check the link in the description to check out everything mentioned in this video. I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully in the comments with your own progress update. Remember, you're capable of more than you know.